The Mermaid in Chains. The auction hall smelled of rust, oil, and greed. Hundreds of aliens, some with glowing skin, others with insect eyes, sat in rising tiers around the center ring. They had come for one thing, something rare, something illegal. Inside the thick glass of a stasis tank floated a woman. But not just any woman. She had silver blue skin, long fins where her arms ended, and long flowing hair that shimmered like seaweed in a storm. To the crowd, she was a mermaid, a mythical creature said to bring luck, power, or eternal wealth to those who owned her. To the auctioneer, she was just product under 47. Ladies and gentlemen of the stars, the tall, slug-skinned auctioneer hissed into the mic. You see before you a miracle, caught from the mist seas of planet Dorentha, known only to the deep colonies, a true living mermaid. Start the bidding. A roar of alien voices filled the air. Jace Winston stood at the back wearing a cracked translator helmet and a robe that hid his human features. He kept to the shadows, eyes locked on the woman in the tank. But he didn't see a mermaid. He saw a prisoner. Her eyes, bright violet, glowing faintly even underwater, moved slowly across the crowd. There was pain there, anger, and a strange calm, like she was waiting for something, or someone. Then she saw Jace. Her eyes froze. Jace's heart beat faster. He had seen hundreds of creatures in the outer colonies. He had rescued refugees from mining planets, fought raiders, crossed the ice moons of Thera. But this was something else. The way she looked at him. It was not the look of a beast. It was the look of a queen. And then, in the tiniest movement, so small no one else could notice, she placed her hand on the glass. Not with panic, not with fear, with purpose. Jace whispered to himself, she's not a mermaid, she's royalty. A large, four-armed alien placed a massive bid. 100,000 creds, the auctioneer yelled. Do I hear 150? The tank lights dimmed as the price rose. Jace could feel his window closing. He had no weapons, no allies, no backup. But something deep in his gut twisted. If he left now, she would be gone. Sold, maybe killed, maybe worse. He stepped forward, slowly, quietly. Then, a high-pitched whine echoed through the ceiling vents. Just for a second, a single light flickered. The queen turned her head slightly. Jace reached into his robe. Going once, the auctioneer said, licking his lips. Jace pulled out a device the size of a coin, old Terran tech, banned in most systems. Going twice, he pressed the button. A small pulse shot out, silent and invisible to most. And then, boom, all lights in the hall went out. Screams. Confusion. Aliens pushing. Translators failing. In the chaos, Jace ran toward the tank. Guards pulled out stun rods. Someone shouted in a language he didn't recognize. But the queen didn't panic. She closed her eyes. Jace reached the tank and slammed a second device against the control panel. Crack. The glass hissed and split. The water inside started to drain and she opened her eyes again, calm and clear. I'm getting you out, Jace said, breathing hard. She didn't speak, but her hand reached forward, this time, not in fear, but in trust. The escape that wasn't silent. The water spilled across the auction floor, flooding the wires and sizzling the cracked tiles. As the tank broke open, the alien queen fell forward, but she didn't collapse. No, she stood, tall, proud, glowing. Her long hair clung to her back like liquid fire. Thin webbing shimmered between her fingers. The crowd gasped, then screamed as the lights flickered again and a piercing alarm echoed through the massive hall. Red flashes lit the darkness. Metal gates slammed down around the exits. Jace grabbed her wrist and pulled. This way. She followed, barefoot, fast, graceful. Like she'd done this before. Behind them, guards recovered. A robotic voice shouted, Target breach, life form escape. Target is Class 1 Royal. Jace's blood ran cold. Royal. He was right. They darted through a back hallway filled with crates, wires, and flickering signs in alien languages. Every few seconds, a stun blast hit the walls behind them. "Keep moving," Jace shouted. The Queen didn't speak, but her movements were sharp, controlled. Her eyes scanned every vent, every door. She pointed toward a narrow passage. "There?" Jace asked. She nodded once. They slid inside just as 3 guards ran past the hallway. Jace gasped for breath, clutching a small pulse pistol. It was low on charge. "You okay?" he whispered. She turned, then pointed to his translator badge. Slowly, she raised her hand and tapped her chest, then tapped the metal floor, then slowly drew a shape in the air. The translator buzzed and tried to speak. "Sir-ia." "Seria," Jace repeated. "Your name?" She gave a soft nod. Before he could ask more, the hallway ceiling exploded. A large figure dropped from above, taller than any human wrapped in black armor, glowing red eyes under a helmet. A bounty hunter. "You!" the figure roared. "You shouldn't be here, Terran." Jace raised his pistol, fired twice. Sparks flew, but the bounty hunter didn't fall. Seria stepped forward, her eyes narrowed. The bounty hunter laughed. "The Queen wants to play now?" Jace yelled. "Run!" They dodged into a vent tunnel, heat crawling up their backs from plasma blasts. Behind them, the bounty hunter shouted into a comm. "Target's loose. She has a human. Send everyone." As they crawled through the narrow pipe, Jace turned his head. "They called you a queen. Is that true?" Seria didn't answer. Instead, she pulled a small crystal from her hair, a bright shard that pulsed with soft blue light. Jace stared. "Is that your crest?" She touched it to her neck, and the translator finally spoke again. "They betrayed me. My own council. Sold me as myth. They feared my rule." Jace was silent, then said, "You're not alone anymore." They reached the edge of the facility, where Jace's ship, a beat-up freighter called the Falcon's Edge, was hidden under scrap and old parts. But the doors were wide open. His heart sank. "They found it first," he whispered. Inside, sparks flew. The engine was disabled. Power lines were cut. Seria stepped inside, placed a hand on the console, and her crest glowed bright. Suddenly, the ship hummed. Lights came back. The reactor restarted. "What are you doing?" Jace asked. Her translator buzzed again. "I carry energy of my people. Enough to give life. Once." The ship systems jumped to full power. Jace was amazed. But Seria stumbled. Weak. "You gave it to the ship?" he asked. She nodded, barely standing. He caught her before she fell. Outside, the bounty hunter's voice echoed through a speaker. "Run all you want, Queen. You'll be back in chains soon." Jace clenched his jaw. Not this time. Secrets of the Starborn Blood. The stars blurred past the cockpit window as Jace slammed the throttle forward. The Falcon's Edge shook under the sudden burst of speed, its damaged hull creaking like old wood in a storm. Behind them, a black shadow grew in the distance, the bounty hunter's warship. He had expected a small ship, maybe a gunboat. But this was a full Hunter-class cruiser, stolen from some fallen empire. Its engines burned purple fire. Its weapons glowed red with target locks. Jace cursed under his breath. "Seria, if you got another miracle in that gem of yours, now's the time." But she was slumped in the seat beside him, breathing shallow. Pale. He gripped the controls, eyes darting over the scanner. One hope remained, the Red Veil Nebula. Dangerous, full of magnetic storms and ancient wrecks, but it was better than dying in open space. "Hang on!" he shouted, turning hard left into the red mist. The warship followed. Inside the nebula, everything turned dark. Clouds of red gas curled like smoke through the void. Sparks of lightning arced across the view. Scanner readings failed. Comms went dead, but the hunter still came. "I can't outrun him," Jace muttered. "But I can hide." He killed the main engines and drifted the ship behind a wrecked alien cruiser. Rusted, massive, lifeless. They sat in silence, only the soft sound of breathing. Then, Saria moved, her fingers twitched, her skin began to glow faintly again. Jace knelt beside her. "You okay?" She opened her eyes, tired, but calm. And then she raised her hand, touching his temple. Suddenly, light. Not in the room. In his mind, visions, planets burning, a royal court of silver thrones, Saria in a flowing robe crowned with stars, then betrayal, shadows, poison, chains, and finally, her crest glowing, projecting an image of a human. Him. His voice shook. "Why am I in this?" the translator activated. "A human will awaken the Queen's will, break the false chains, light the throne again." Jace pulled back, stunned. "You saw me before this? Before the auction?" She nodded once. Outside, something huge moved past the nebula cloud. The scanner blinked, just once. Then again, something was coming. Not the bounty hunter. Something ancient. Saria stood slowly, her energy returning. She whispered through the translator, "This place is alive." Jace looked around. "What do you mean alive?" "A creature sleeps here. It feeds on power. Royal blood calls it." The ship rocked. From the mists, a shape appeared. Not metal, not machine, scales, eyes. Massive wings curled in silence. Jace's throat tightened. "That's not a ship." Saria placed both hands on the glass. "We must speak to it," she said. "What?" "It's old. It remembers my kind. It may protect us. Or eat us." Before he could argue, the ship powered up again. On its own. The Queen's crest glowed bright, blinding white, and the creature outside stopped, its massive head tilted. Low hum filled the air, not mechanical, more like a voice. Deep. Ancient. Saria closed her eyes and whispered, and the beast whispered back. Jace stepped back. "What the hell are you?" She looked at him. Not like a captive. Not like a queen. Like something older. "I am Saria of the First Starborn, keeper of the flame. And you, Jace, are the one they tried to erase from the prophecy." Behind them, the bounty hunter's warship came into view, just as the creature's wings spread across the stars. The hunter was too late. A storm was coming, and the Queen had awakened. The beast that bows to no crown, the nebula twisted around the falcon's edge, glowing crimson and gold. Outside, the massive creature, bigger than a dreadnought, hovered in silence. Its scales shifted like galaxies, its wings curled like solar flares. It had no mouth, but its hum filled the air like ancient thunder. Saria stood tall in the ship's front viewport. Her crest glowed with a pale, sacred light. She didn't flinch, didn't blink. Jace, behind her, watched in awe and fear. "What is that?" he whispered. "The Guardian," she replied, voice calm. "From before the First War. It remembers my blood." The creature's hum deepened, and Jace saw flashes, like lightning inside his brain. Giant star temples, alien kings kneeling, and humans once standing beside them, not as servants but as equals. "Wait," Jace said, shaking. "Humans were part of your history?" Saria nodded slowly. "Long ago, we ruled the stars together. Then came the betrayal, and humans were erased, cast out, forgotten." The ship shook violently. The bounty hunter's warship appeared from the mist, weapons glowing red-hot. He didn't hesitate. "Target locked," a mechanical voice screamed. "Fire all plasma cannons." Blasts of energy tore through the nebula. The star beast turned. No rage, just power. One wing moved and a wall of light exploded outward. It didn't fire lasers. It didn't launch missiles. It simply willed the hunter's warship to stop. And it did. The warship froze mid-space, held by invisible energy. Then, crack, it bent. slowly. Metal shrieked. Jace covered his ears. No. The hunter's voice cried over a weak calm, but there was no mercy. The warship imploded, quietly, crushed like a toy. The beast turned its gaze back to Saria and spoke, not in words but through the ship's systems. Lights flickered, circuits sparked. A voice, deep and slow, echoed from every speaker. The blood returns. But what will it do? Will it burn again? Saria closed her eyes. I seek peace, not rule. Then give me something greater. Your vow. My vow. If you break the flame's promise, your name will vanish forever. Jace stepped forward. What's the flame's promise? Saria didn't look at him. Her voice was like iron, wrapped in silk. To protect life, not control it, Jace whispered. And if you fail? She looked at him now. Then my power turns to ash. The beast was still, and then, slowly, it bowed. One massive wing dipped low. Stars shimmered along its scales. Saria touched the glass, her fingers glowing. It accepts. The beast faded back into the nebula, its body becoming mist, then shadow, then memory. Only silence remained, but not for long. On a distant edge of the nebula, a single probe blinked red. Not from the hunter, but something older. It sent a signal. A hidden empire, buried deep in the dark corners of the galaxy, received that signal. Target identified, the alien admiral hissed. Queen Saria still lives. A second voice, cruel and metallic, added, and she travels with a human. In their throne room of black steel, a shadow rose. Send the judgment fleet, it ordered. Burn the veil, kill the queen, and bring me the Terran alive. The choice that breaks worlds. The ship glided over the gray surface of a dead moon, its air thin, its sky purple-black. Jagged cliffs rose like broken teeth, and below them, in a forgotten crater, stood a structure older than any map remembered. Temple, not made by machines but carved by hand, human and alien, side by side. Jace and Saria stepped out of the Falcon's edge, eyes scanning the silence. The air crackled faintly, like the hum of old memories. Where are we? Jace asked. Sanctuary, Saria replied. A last meeting place between your kind and mine, before the great forgetting. As they entered the temple, lights flickered, on powered by the Queen's presence. Glowing runes lit the walls, shifting between English and Starborn script. Jace touched one of them. His skin tingled. Deep inside, they reached a hidden chamber. A stone pedestal sat at the center. Above it hovered a faint blue crown, not of metal, but pure energy. Inside it, swirls of voices echoed like wind through glass. Saria stepped forward, her expression troubled. This is the crown of echoes, she said softly. It holds the will of the first queens, and the truth of what we lost. Jace frowned. Why does it sound like it's speaking? Because it remembers you. Before he could speak, the crown pulsed, and Jace was pulled into a vision. Earth, burning. Cities turned to ash, a black star hanging in the sky. The Empire's ships, blotting out the sun. And Saria, broken, chained, calling his name. He gasped and fell backward. What was that? He coughed. A possible future, Saria whispered. The Empire fears me, but they hate your kind. They believe humans are the spark that can undo their darkness. So what do we do? She looked at him, not with power now, but with honesty. The crown can awaken the Guardian fleet, she said. Ships hidden across galaxies, but it requires two soul, bound by flame. Queen and flame-bearer. Jace stared. You mean me? She nodded. It must be your choice. But if we don't, Earth falls. I fall. And the stars go dark. The room shook. Outside, roaring engines. Saria turned to the wall. A projection of ships filled the sky. Thousands. They came faster than expected, she said. The judgment fleet was here. The Empire had arrived. Jace's heart pounded. I'm not a soldier. I'm just a smuggler. You're more than that, she said. You're the one I saw in my vision, the one who didn't run, the one who reached for the glass. He looked at her. If I do this, we're bonded, right? Yes, for life, in soul and blood. And if I don't? She didn't answer, but her eyes said enough. Jace looked at the hovering crown, at the storm coming, and then back at her. Then let's burn the sky. He stepped forward. Syria took his hand. The crown pulsed brighter, and the temple lit up with flame. Across distant systems, old ships awoke. Their starborn seals broke. Engines roared to life. And in the heart of the temple, the queen and her flame-bearer vanished in light. Outside, the Empire's ships opened fire. But this time, the stars would answer back. The fire that defied a fleet light exploded across the surface of the dead moon. The crown of echoes flared, and the Falcon's edge was gone, replaced by a ship forged from flame and memory. It hovered in the crater, silent but pulsing. Inside, Jace and Syria stood transformed. Golden lines traced their skin like star maps. Their eyes shone with the same light. And between their hands, a tether of energy bound them together. This is what the bond feels like, Jace asked, stunned. Syria nodded. You are now part of the flame. Your soul speaks to the fleet. Wait, the whole fleet? Yes, and it's listening. Across the stars, ancient ships lit up, buried under asteroids, inside gas giants. Behind black holes they stirred. Their hulls bore marks from a forgotten age, and inside each one the same voice whispered, the flame returns. But the Empire did not wait. Dozens of judgment ships breached the nebula, blasting plasma through the ruins of the sanctuary moon. They didn't ask questions. They came to kill. The first volley struck the outer cliffs, ripping rock apart, shaking the temple. Jace stepped forward to the ship's main interface. It responded to his thoughts, symbols and commands forming in his mind. I can see them, he whispered. I see their formation, their shield patterns. I can feel where to strike. You're leading, Syria said softly. You were always meant to, he turned to her. And you? I'll hold the crown's channel, but it's burning through me. Her skin glowed brighter, her hands trembled. If I let go, the fleet dies. Jace gritted his teeth. Then we don't let go. Outside, the starborn ships arrived, dozens first, then hundreds, sleek, elegant, glowing with ancient fire. But the Empire had thousands. We're outnumbered, Jace said. Syria smiled faintly, but we're not outmatched. He lifted his hand, and ships responded. The first wave crashed like a tide. Starborn frigates looped through the Empire's tight formations, firing pulse beams that pierced shields and shattered hulls. The Empire pushed back. Battleships rained fire on the temple's crater. Drones swarmed like locusts. Inside their flagship, a figure stepped forward, tall, cloaked in black steel. Her face hidden behind a silver mask. Target confirmed, she said. Initiate purge protocol. Syria's eyes widened. That voice, she whispered. I know it. Jace turned. Who? My sister. What? She took the throne after they betrayed me. They gave her power, in exchange for her loyalty to the Empire. Above them, her ship broke from the fleet, bigger than the rest. Stronger, it carried a weapon with no name, the Void Hammer, capable of erasing moons. She's targeting the temple, Syria warned. Jace's voice was steel now. Then we don't. Let her fire. He reached into the fleet's memory, into the deep codes, and found something, a maneuver so old, even the Crown feared it. Starfall Protocol, he whispered. Syria gasped. No one ever used it. Not even the First War. Maybe they should have. He locked eyes with her. I can guide it, but you have to hold it together. She nodded, stepping into the Crown's core, her body lit like a dying star. The fleet moved, all ships aligned. They became one, and above them, a tear in space formed, pure light, compressed. The starfall. The Empire's sensors screamed. Ships tried to flee, but it was too late. The starborn fleet burned like the sun, and fell, directly, into the Empire's lines. Ships vaporized, drones vanished, engines melted. The Void Hammer survived, but barely. On the bridge, Seria's sister gripped the edge of the console. Fire, now! But the gun wouldn't respond, not to her, only to royal blood, and that blood was burning with the flame. Inside the temple, Seria fell to her knees. Too much, she whispered. I can't hold it. Jace caught her, but the light inside her was flickering now. He had led the fleet, but if she died, it would all fall apart, and a second wave of ships was already inbound, the flame that chose a future. The air in the temple crackled with fading light. The once living runes flickered. The crown of echoes hovered dim, spinning slower now, like a dying heartbeat. Seria lay still in Jace's arms, her breath shallow, her skin pale gold fading to ash. Stay with me, he whispered. She blinked once. Can't hold it much longer. Outside, the second wave arrived. Empire warships tore through the weakened remains of the starborn fleet. The ships that had survived the starfall were damaged, scattered. They fired back, but it was clear. They couldn't last. From the heart of the enemy fleet, the Void Hammer descended. It cast a shadow over the moon. Seria's sister stood on the bridge, her voice like a blade. You're beaten, she said through the open comms. Let the past die. Give me the crown, and I will let the Terran live. Jace stood. The crown hovered beside him. His hand reached toward it, and then, Don't, Seria gasped. She'll twist it. She's your sister, Jace said. You don't want me to kill her. Seria's voice trembled. She killed everything. Jace closed his eyes. The flame inside him still burned, weak, but alive. He turned to the crown. You said I was the flame bearer, he whispered. But that's not enough, is it? The crown responded. This, time in his voice. No, to save her you must become the flame. He looked back at Seria. Her eyes met his. Soft, scared, brave. Will it kill me? He asked. The crown answered with silence. He smiled sadly. Then let's make it count. He took her hand and stepped into the core of the crown. Light consumed them both. Their minds touched. Every thought, every scar, every secret. They saw each other fully. No lies, no walls, only truth. Bond complete. The crown exploded with power. The flame was no longer shared, it was one. And Jace was no longer just human. He was the living key. He rose into the sky, carried by golden fire, his body, glowing brighter than any star, across the battlefield. Every starborn ship reawakened, damaged hulls healed, broken wings regrew, cannons refilled with light. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the fleet sang. The song reached the Void Hammer. Seria's sister turned to run, but too late. A column of golden energy pierced her flagship. From bridge to engine core, the ship shattered like crystal. No escape pods, no mercy, only silence. The Empire's fleet turned to flee, but the flame swept across them. Not to kill, to erase. Ships became dust. Metal became stardust. War became memory. And then stillness. In the ruins of the temple, Jace fell to the floor. The crown faded. The fire dimmed. Seria knelt beside him, holding him tight. You did it, she whispered. You saved us. His voice was faint. No, we saved us. He touched her cheek. Promise me something. Anything. Remember Earth? Tears filled her eyes. I will. His eyes closed. But the crown pulsed once more, and light flowed into Jace's chest. His body lifted slightly and then settled. He gasped, and opened his eyes. Still alive. The flame had chosen. Both days later, on the newly formed Starborn Council, Jace stood beside Saria, alive, changed, part human, part legend, and when the stars turned toward Earth, they did not forget again.